Hello, Mercury retrograde starts today, and also we have a fated day with the Sun conjunct the North Node, which is also in Pisces. It's a very Pisces-rich time at the moment because it's all about the closing out and what I would call the epilogue of this whole narrative. So we're integrating and we are concluding. So I'm going to look at my notes whilst we're talking, so I'll be looking away from the screen a little bit. But Mercury entered Pisces on the 6th of February. It's now at 22 degrees and it's retrograding today. So we're going to be experiencing, or we have been experiencing since the 6th of February when Mercury entered Pisces, we've been experiencing a layer of what it's like to have Pisces in our charts. It can affect the mind, and especially when Mercury is in Pisces. So the ways it affects the mind, because Mercury is the ruler of our communication, the way we process information, is it's a bit more, actually how I'm feeling right now, a little bit more sort of dreamy. You need to take things slower, and it's a bit more difficult to focus in the Pisces energy. I've got my ginger tea, and I have to stop drinking coffee at a certain time, otherwise I can't sleep. Sorry, so Pisces season started on the 18th of February, and some of us will be already in our Pisces energies quite strongly because we are Pisces, some of us. So if your sun's in Pisces, then you'll know what it's like to experience these energies. And also if your Mercury is in Pisces, you'll be having your Mercury return as well. So you might be getting a bit more of a up-leveling in your mind, a refresh. Might have been feeling quite tired anyway. And so the Sun conjunct the North Node is fated in that we might start to make some choices that head us in the right direction of where we're going, and Piscean themes. So I don't know, it could be a range of things, but it could be to do with having self-compassion and letting go of things that you've been holding on to. And whilst Neptune was in Pisces, there's things that we will have been trying to let go of, but we weren't really able to, because it has this sort of kind of grasp on you that, like gaslighting can do, if you've been gaslighted. I think we all have, to some extent, some more than others. We can do it to ourselves, we can do it to our children without realising it. But if it's been quite severe, and quite a lot of people experiencing Pisces energy will have had it, it can be quite difficult to let go of the hold it has over you. And this Mercury retrograde, I believe, is a clearing out of all of that's been left behind from what we were holding on to. Because when Neptune went into Aries, it was about claiming the truth and seeing the truth, and it just released us. And during that release, we got in contact possibly with our anger, and I would call that righteous anger. The righteous anger that we felt from being deceived. And we're seeing this obviously in the collective as well, on the bigger picture of things, which also actually ties into family dynamics, which may or may not be a different video, but we can link that into where Jupiter is at the moment. So there's a bigger picture of all of this, and Mercury retrograde in Pisces is a biggie this time, because we've made so many moves forwards into starting to stride forwards into our new way of being, which means we've had to let go of a lot of dreams. There's broken dreams is what I'm seeing and feeling here. It's broken dreams. What we thought we were going to go for, we might be going for still, but in order to get that on track, we've had to break the original idea, which is what quite often happens when Neptune gives us the imagined framework, and then Saturn helps us build it, and Saturn tells us what's possible and not possible, which means the breaking of dreams when Saturn is conjunct Neptune. So the Pisces retrograde is I was going to go through it very, very step by step. It's an emotional part of our charts that we've been working through. And in 2011, I think we started to go deeper into our spirituality. But along the way, we will have been influenced and kind of deluding ourselves to some extent, and not perhaps realizing that these things are happening, because that's what Neptune does. And the ruling planet of Pisces is Neptune. So this is the reason why I'm going to be talking about Neptune a lot during this, because it's all relative, because it's that's actually going to be giving information across to Mercury, the planet of information. So this whole Mercury retrograde is about Neptune being there with Saturn. So we can't talk about Mercury retrograde in Pisces without talking about those, because they're really, really big players in this whole thing. So I'm calling it the epilogue, because I do believe it's the conclusion and the ending to a story, moving forwards. And so it's an element of water, it's emotional, it's mutable, so it's an adaptable energy, Pisces is. And it's also at the end of the zodiac, so it's always going to be about closing out and ending things in a very sort of transcendent manner when we actually graduate at the final degrees. And that will be on the 14th of April. It'll be at the 29th degree, Mercury will, and then it will shift into the next sign of Aries. And April is going to have a huge stellium of planets, which is going to bring an immense amount of fire and energy to finally get that car out the garage and start driving that Ferrari, whatever you want to call it. I imagine this red car, powerful, sporty car, leaving, and, you know, it's just, the boat is not in use. And now the fastest speed of life is coming to us. We're out of the ocean now. And although we have Neptune with us, who is very much the ruler of things, Neptune's in a different place, not in Pisces, not in the sacrificing, martyr, victim. These are all the lower energies of Pisces. It's not in those energies anymore. It's in the spiritual warrior energy. It's in the truth energy. And there's shadows of that as well. But we're at the clearing out point, and it's the final end of endings. And the Neptune is known for its illusions that it can give us, but it also gives us the ideas to bring into reality as well, and it can take us from one realm to another. We can feel like when we're in a Mercury retrograde, it's all about revisiting anyway. It's about revisiting things to do with how we think, our travel, all of that, but on all of the standard Mercury retrograde rules apply. But the deeper layers of the Mercury retrograde is beyond your mail in the post and having to be careful about signing contracts. I mean, if you can help it, don't sign contracts during the Mercury retrograde, or, you know, don't start things during the Mercury retrograde unless you're willing to possibly have to go over it, and it might be a bit more complicated. You might have to revisit things a little bit later to sort it out, but sometimes we can't help it. Sometimes we have to go ahead with these things. So every single Mercury retrograde has those themes about review, reanalyze, everything's about going backwards, and it's going from the 22 degrees all the way down to 8 degrees of Pisces. So wherever those degree points are in your chart is where Neptune was, Saturn was. So you had lessons in boundaries, you've had lessons in where are your dreams, and what do you need to end, what's getting in the way of those dreams, where have you been in your life just completely disillusioned, and just like, when is this going to end so that I can then start a new beginning? So where the Mercury is, it's going to be going back through all of those experiences. Anything left behind that you didn't manage to feel because you went straight into the fire with Neptune, that has burnt through all of the stuff that you've been possibly not telling yourself, and now new stuff's come to the surface that needs to be cleared out, and that's what this is. It's the bits that we missed. So we're going through all of that. And also Jupiter rules Pisces as well, and Jupiter at the moment is in Cancer, the emotional sign, that is to do with family and your roots. And we've been expanding in our truth about that, about our family dynamics, which in a way, I think, this is also a mirror of what's been happening in society. If you see society as we're one big collective, one like massive family, and then you see Saturn, which is the father energy, as everything in society that rules us and defines what we can do and can't do, and it can sometimes not be a very good energy if not used properly. And I think we as a collective feel really bloody let down by the structures in society, by the untruths. And that is a mirror, it's mirroring for some of us more intensely, but it's mirroring and getting us to see, well, what is our feeling about our own family dynamic? So Jupiter has been expanding our understanding about that. And so that comes into the mix as well. So it's not just about Mercury being in retrograde and all the basic things that normally we associate with retrograde. It goes so much deeper when you actually look at it all. And also, as well, we have the Pluto being the outer picture of it all, which went into Aquarius, and that's been working for a couple of years now, well, a year and a bit, at exposing things as well. The truths really started rolling out because Pluto is the detective of the zodiac and breaks things down. So that's all part of it as well. It's power to the people, and it's making connections with Sedna. Sedna is like, I see Sedna as the feminine goddess in its purest form, in that she was betrayed by the patriarchal archetype, and I think we have been. And I certainly have been also on a personal level. And I've certainly been working through that and I came to a sense of peace over it very recently. And I just wonder whether we're all experiencing this on some level. So the story of Saturn in Pisces is left lessons for us, and it has given us some realities of look what needs to be changed here, and we need to emotionally assimilate what's happened, and so we can move forwards and integrate it. And then when we go forwards into Aries, which is the absolute no looking back now, because it's all brand new energy, we're not going to have the baggage with us, because it doesn't belong there. If we drag it along with us, it's just going to stay with us for another cycle, which we don't really want, because it slows everything down. Now, I understand we can't necessarily burn everything off 100%, but let's get as much out as we can. Let's clear and I don't think we're going to have a choice, because so many other things are happening that are helping us with that, including the, if you believe this, the 3-eye atlas, which I do. I've been doing a painting on 3-eye atlas, and I actually ended up just completely taking it all apart, because I've been in a Pisces endings cycle of my own on top of all of these other layers. Emotional closure of a 30-year cycle. And I just didn't feel like I could do anything so I'm waiting until my progressed moon shifts out of Pisces before I continue any more painting. So on the 1st of March, we'll see what happens, but certainly after that date, I'll be continuing the 3-eye atlas painting, but it'll be from fresh, so it'll all be new. And I can tell you there's going to be green in there, and there's going to be gold and white. Sorry, anyway, that was the painting bit. And if you want your natal chart painted by me, or give it as a gift to someone, then you can go to my webpage, which is www.jenniferladd.art. And you can send me an email at jennifer@jenniferladd.art. It's all very straightforward. And all of my social media platforms are the same, Jennifer Ladd Art. Just keeps it simple. It's kind of like the art of astrology, really. and it's the art of energy in general. So Pluto being the bigger picture we've talked about, and it all ties together. So this is not just a normal Mercury retrograde, is what I was wanting to say to you. So Mercury is the messenger, and he will connect us to how we really feel about our environment, the things we've experienced in the past. It can affect us on a daily basis whilst this is happening, in ways like it can slow us down mentally, it can break apart plans we've made, make us feel quite dreamy and need lots of regular breaks. So it's a good time to go for a holiday if you can, or just try and make your day less intense and have lots of breaks. And you might need to up your coffee or your lion's mane or whatever for focus. And it's about just sort of accepting and allowing things as they come, and let your thoughts just come, and then let them go and be the witness of those thoughts. And meditation can be good at this time. Any time during the Mercury retrograde we need to slow down, because the things usually feel quite just all over the place. But when it's in Pisces, it's a bit like it slows down, whether you like it or not. And it's just very difficult to focus for long periods of time. And because we need to go inward and slow down in order to actually see what's coming up for us, because it can be downloads as well, downloads of things, processing things. So Pisces and Mercury together, it might feel like your mind is more liquid, so nothing really sticks. So write down your downloads as soon as they come, write them down. Poetry, music, art, all these things you can get into. We can be moving through lots of different, it's all a bit jumbled, this message, isn't it? Apologies for that. It's like moving through different viewpoints all at once, stretch my back, and being in different timelines all at once. Being able to feel into other people's energies, you might get more empathic feel. It might be a more emotional time in general during Pisces season, because the sun is creating focus there, and it's creating focus in a place where things have been really intense. It can feel like a strain on your body to try and push it. And it's not like you can't get things done, but it's like, if from the outside it might look like, what the heck is this person doing? Are they actually getting anywhere? That's what I often find with Pisces energy. I'm a Pisces, so I get it, but I've also got Gemini moon, so I've got this combination of this sort of dreamy stuff, and also wanting to do things quite quickly and wanting to multitask, and I've had to slow way down since Saturn's been there. Anyway, so where were we? With it being a water element, it is emotional. It's an empathic energy and a compassionate one, and you can slip into victim in a Pisces energy, but it's a place to feel into our deep feelings, into anything that's been hidden, so that we can wash it away, and anything unfinished. The retrograde in particular is a time for revisiting those parts in our mind that have been where we've been treading water, waiting for release, and held grief underneath the illusions that we held when Neptune was there in our charts. Both Saturn and Neptune were there doing the dissolving and also making it hard for us to let go of the guilt. So we talked about the gaslighting side of it. The Christ consciousness energy, the shadow of that is the martyr energy, like sacrificing ourselves when really it wasn't asked for or even appreciated. When Neptune moved into Aries, that set us free from some of the grasp of that and the illusions, and it's cleared and unveiled things. And I think because of that, it brings a loss of what we thought we were, what we were identifying with, especially now that Neptune's gone into the sign of Aries, which is all about our personal identity. It's like it's gone in there and it's gone, ooh, we need to go back into Pisces in our minds, because we've got some stuff that is not in this room, but in the previous room. Does that make sense? It's like you've got into a new room, which is all new, all fresh, really exciting and creative, but there's something in the back room that is being revealed through the newness. Does that make sense? So you've got to go back and you've got to revisit this, because now the truth's come out. You're starting to see the things that the things that you thought were yours, the things that who you thought you were. Sorry, that's my dryer in the background. Where you thought you were heading. You kind of are heading places still, but it just doesn't look the way that you thought it would, and it never does. When we leave our dreams, there's always an element of disappointment in order to actually make it real, because it's very, very rare that how we envisage something is how it ends up. It's very rare that our daydreams can come into that exact reality. So there does come some disappointment. And, adding to the mix Jupiter's expansion of understanding of the family dynamics, and where we've come from, our roots, how we see ourselves within that framework. I think it makes us go quite deep into our minds. And so some of the daily symptoms, some more lightweight stuff to talk about, of Mercury retrograde is confusion when it's in Pisces. Lack of focus, needing time to get ready, taking longer to get ready, plans falling through, sadness and grief talked about, wanting to escape, maybe overeating or overindulging. I say do it. Says the Pisces. And spiritual bypassing can be a thing. It's a good time for inspiration, and it's a good time for meditation, for the kind of meta meditation where you focus on yourself and then take it out and out to the universe. Good for a silence, going inward, creativity, arts, music, poetry, slowing down, having a holiday. It's also good for heightened intuition, which can happen with the Pisces. In fact, all of the water signs have got the heightened intuition. They're very highly sensitive people, and that is actually a gift when it's used in the way that is helpful. And visualizing your new starts, acceptance, and radical forgiveness. So I want to do a separate video on radical forgiveness, because to me, whenever anyone's ever talked about forgiveness, it's just pissed me off, because I've not been in the right place for that. And it's felt quite judgy, and I want to go into that deeper in a way that holds that and actually gives room for other types of feelings that come up. But you might find that that something happens energetically that moves you towards that direction. So it's not really anything you need to be doing per se, but the energy might be leading you into that direction. And that might be more about detachment from the person or people that have caused this harm, and more about freeing yourself up from those cords. Because what I've found is still holding on to the grudges, although I definitely still feel pissed off, but holding on to them like they are part of me and identifying them is actually been holding me back from truly moving forwards. It's been empowering, because I think that's really important, to have that anger and righteous anger, as I've talked about. It's been really empowering, but it only takes me so far, and then I can't move forwards. So I'd like to do another video all just about that, because I've gone through so much through this progressed moon in Pisces, and I think it might be quite helpful just to listen to someone else's reflection. I found listening to somebody yesterday talking about their experience, just through empathy, I was able to do a bit of self-healing through empathizing through that person's experience. So I'm like, oh, hang on a second, there's another dimension here to empathy, which is another part of the Pisces Mercury retrograde. We start seeing other dimensions of things in our mind. Our perceptions become more fluid. and we can travel through different experiences without having to even be there. It's like a time traveling. So I think that's all I needed to say today about the Mercury retrograde, in that it's just one of those times that is going to be huge. It's not just a normal retrograde, because it's the epilogue of our lives. Past, present and future, if you look at timelines in the way that they're not linear. So, until next time, which hopefully shan't be long, good luck with your Mercury retrograde. If you've got any questions, just get in contact. Leave a comment below. I'd appreciate your support. Subscribe as well. Bye for now.